featuring the Greenfield gunner, Mike Edwards, former Maryville Scot, Donnie Moore, and from the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and I'm here at the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville, along with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Ex-UT basketball All-American Tony White and former Alcoa basketball standout Dwayne Easter are here with us, along with my brother John Edwards. We'll be talking some Indy 500, which is coming up in about another month. Lee Corso to call it a career at College Game Day, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card. Donnie Moore will fill us in on the latest high school sports news, and we'll follow up with the top national sports stories. Marcus Fitzsimmons will be on board to update us on what's happening in the local high school sports, and we'll cover the teams and individuals who are making a mark. Today, Marcus has Eagleton softball on the agenda, and I'll jump in and talk some UT sports news and then follow up with some discussion on the upcoming Indianapolis 500. We're happy you're here with us, so let's break the huddle and dive right in. Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Donnie
Good
Moore,
morning.
Donnie Moore, it's good to see you back. And
Thank you.
You're looking fit and fiddle, and I assume your
I'm getting
recovery's
there.
going well. And Tony White, long time no see. Looks like, dang, you look like you're well rested and ready to go here this morning, guy. Huh?
Well, hey, had a nice journey.
Yeah. Dwayne Easter, good to see you
Good to
again.
see
And
you.
John, all the way from God's country in Indiana, we're glad you're down here with us this morning. And we're going to talk some Indy 500 with you later on in the show. And
Sounds
looking
good.
forward to that because we're only about, I don't know, maybe 5 weeks away and only a couple of weeks away.
30-some days, I guess it is
Yeah,
now.
it's getting
close.
It's getting real close.
Not
And
long at all.
Marcus Fitzsimmons, good morning. Good morning to you. Huh?
Bah humbug.
Yeah. Hey, Tony White, tell us a little bit about the UT basketball, or not basketball, but the UT Hall of Fame over there. You went in, last Saturday.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah.
family in, and
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what went on there.
Well, that's why I couldn't make it to the, a couple to the shows and everything. I was a little preoccupied, but it was nice. It was a great event and everything, they set it out pretty good for me, and I was just thankful for it. Yeah.
Nice.
Big day there. Hey, and you've been following UT, I guess, through the basketball tournament, and again, they got you right up there on the mountaintop, and then they just kind of dropped you right down there to the bottom, didn't they? Kind of like,
Well, hey,
same old story, get you right up there, and man, we're going to be the Final Four deal, and I'm looking real good, and we got everybody here, and gosh, we'll get them next year.
Well, yeah.
But-
I mean, Houston was tough, man.
Yeah.
Houston came out and they threw that first punch, and that was it, man.
Hit
We
'em
couldn't
right in the
recover
mouth.
from it.
Hit him right in the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, a great crowd there from Tennessee, that journeyed up there. They
Oh,
thought
yeah.
this was going to be the year, after they got Kentucky, and
There was
and
a lot of
it
orange.
was looking really good, and it just didn't happen. But as far as being up there in Indianapolis, do you like Indianapolis? That's where I've been around up there
Well,
a little
it
bit.
was nice. It was nice, but Indy haven't been kind to us over the years, so
Well, let me ask you this: did you go
What's
to
up?
St. Elmo's,
St.
or did you
Elmo's,
go
yeah.
to Shapiro's to eat up there, or did you?
We went to that famous steakhouse,
St.
Oh.
Elmo's.
St. Elmo.
St.
Oh, you did.
Oh, yeah.
Did you
get
have
the
the cocktail
Yeah.
sauce and the shrimp?
Yeah, did you have
Oh,
that?
man.
Oh my goodness!
The stuff that
Oh.
makes grown men cry.
yeah.
Right, yeah. So
Yeah,
you-
but I was kind of used to that. I had tasted something similar like that over in Europe and everything, with that strong taste with the shrimp and
Right,
everything. But
right.
I mean,
the horseradish.
the
that's
horseradish,
in it.
yeah. There's
You
a lot of
almost-
it, but it
you
was
almost
great.
need
There
to
you
set a glass of milk down beside you,
Exactly.
just to take that heat
Oh
off your tongue.
It cleared out all.
Oh, your sinuses.
My sinuses just cleared it out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you study all those pictures they had on the walls? That's what I want to know. They got about 5,000 pictures. in
Right,
there.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to study the pictures and everything, but it was a nice scenery. I enjoyed it.
Those
It was great.
those waiters and waitresses that work there at St. Elmo's, if they've been there for 30 years, there's a room that they have their picture painted, and they put their picture on the wall.
Wow.
And they take care of their people, and if they stay there that long and work for their company, they get their picture painted and put on a special wall that'll be there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tony, you got 28 more years. We're going to paint your picture right
Yeah. Oh, my
You've
goodness.
been here 2 years. You just got 28
Oh,
more
yeah,
to go.
Yeah, 28.
Gonna be up on the wall for
Ain't that something? Wow.
28 more years.
Yeah.
Right up there.
Wow. I see
Living
that.
cup. Yeah. Hey, let her rip this morning. Dwayne, you're going to like this let her rip this morning. It's right up your alley.
Here we go.
There's some controversy involving Colorado's decision to retire the jersey numbers of Shadu Sanders, who was their quarterback last year, and two-way star Travis Hunter that won the Heisman Trophy. Former Colorado players questioned whether it was too soon and brought up all the great Colorado players from the past whose jerseys numbers have not been retired. They have retired four jerseys at Colorado, the University of Colorado, in 135 years. And now these two players that just played last year, they're wanting them to retire those two jerseys. And I'm going to get you in on this, Dwayne. After reading this, it looks to me like they're in the same boat as a lot of other schools. They don't have any committee or anything. It just looks to me like they don't have any requirements for the deal. The administration just went ahead and did this. And then I'm looking at all the facts here, and I'm thinking, it looks like Deion Sanders had a lot to do with this.
Yeah,
No.
thanks, Dad.
Really?
But
Maybe we could get him to come help us out over here.
I just think it's too soon. It's too soon. Now we got
too
Tony.
soon for not
for
for
re-
Tony.
No.
Tony's been there 38
I'm
years.
saying
yeah.
too soon for retiring these two guys' numbers.
Well, that's kind of come up a little bit at UT here recently too about some of the more recent players, but.
yeah.
I'm
Tony
just still
needs to be
mystified.
the next one. I'm just saying. And
I-
as far as the committee, I'd like to know exactly who's. I think there's one person I know is Danny White, but I don't know who those other people are. But they probably don't meet too often. But yeah, we're still at it and made a few contacts here and there lately. And I don't know. I'm feeling better about it, but we're not there yet. But
I don't know where you were in 1989. Let's see, Tony graduated in 88. In 89, there were
87.
Oh my gosh, you're older than I thought. 1987. Where were you in 1988? This thing would have been done, according to what's going on here right now.
Should have started way back then. Of course,
Yeah.
I did. I didn't realize. I knew he was a good ball player, but I didn't realize till the last few years how good he was. So I started looking at his stats.
Right.
So
Right.
he deserves it.
Tony, you weren't here, but we mentioned a little bit. I think on one of the shows there, I think you were at one of the tournament games, and
Okay.
we were talking about the Hall of Fame in Indiana,
Right.
which is they've got a great building up there at Newcastle, Indiana. It's very prestigious.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be out of playing in Indiana high school 25 years, and you have to make the silver anniversary team before you can even be considered for that hall.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a little against all the hype with somebody that's just got done playing
Okay.
and then going in there immediately. Now I'm not saying that Travis Hunter, by winning the Heisman Trophy, he's going to be in there.
Right.
I'm just questioning the time and everything that's taking place here. And if they've got a lot of other players, former players that should be in there that aren't in there, that should be considered, it just kind of looks to me like they don't have a lot of things in place out there to be looking at something like this. How do you all feel about it? Yeah.
I think they do have a thing. Maybe at UT you have to be out so long before. I could be wrong on that, but. Is it 5 years possibly? I seem like I read that somewhere. But
So 87's when you graduate. 89.
87.
87.
87.
That's a long time. We talked at dinner last night. You meet all the criteria. What's the holdup?
Well,
I don't get it.
That's what we can do.
I don't get it. I
I-
mean,
I-
you got all the criteria,
There's one
and there's
criteria. He was third team All-American instead of first team All-American.
But
But there's national awards back when he played. A lot of the stuff that he got could be counted national awards back then.
Right.
That's where I think, he could. Plus, there's a lot of leeway there, too, that they can look at things, and he should just be in there.
They haven't it comes down. They haven't figured out a way to make money off of retiring his jersey yet.
Yeah.
Well, I just think that I'm going to just be honest about it and everything. I mean, we had a lot of turnover. And, once I closed down Stokely Athletic Center, they was more Thompson Bowling, I mean, they didn't even keep the pictures or anything in Thompson. I mean, in Stokely. So they was making that transition. And so from after they made that transition, they just forgot.
Yeah, Tony, you've been on the forgotten side for what, 35 years?
38.
38 years. Well, look at me.
Wow.
But who's counting?
Look,
I'm counting.
Hey,
I'm
look at
counting.
me and see how it feels being out 56 years.
Oh,
If you're feeling low on the deal.
Hey, Mike, I was curious who the four were.
Oh, I've got them here.
Yeah, and
Go
I'm
ahead.
looking at them.
Go ahead.
And you've got Byron White playing 36-37 at quarterback before you could throw the ball. You've got Joe Roming, who was an offensive guard in 59. Bobby Anderson, who's a running back in the 60s. And then you've got the most recent ones, Rashawn Salam. And he had to wait 20 years.
Yeah.
So now these guys had to wait 20 weeks.
Yeah. 20
Expedite.
Weeks. 20 weeks.
That's what they're saying.
It's good to know people.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
is.
Somebody gets out. Somebody gets out, and there's all this popularity, and there's all this hype, and the first thing somebody wants to do is we need to retire his number. Now, listen, we got this going on over here right now. I mean, there's a lot of talk as far as retiring Zakai Ziegler's number right now because he's a very popular player.
Yeah.
He was a good player, but, if you wait 10 or 15 years and you look at his stats in 10 or 15 years, do they look as impressive then and where's the popularity after 15? I can tell you where it is at 56 years.
Yeah. Well, let me tell
Tony can tell you where it's at 30-some years.
Well, let me tell you this.
But
after 38 years, if you look at how he's compared to the people that's had their jersey retired, his name is right up there, right beside him. Ernie, Bernie, Allen Houston, his name is still right up there with those guys after 38 years. So, I mean, it's like
And that's what bothers me about this is if you're Sanders and you're setting this precedent with this school that this is the line to have your number retired, what are you going to do to use as a recruiting tool? Because what if you bring in a good quarterback and he breaks your son's numbers and you don't retire his jersey?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you want? I mean, you're setting something really dangerous here for Colorado that they're going to be stuck doing some things that they may not want to do, and it's going to upset that alumni base that they have.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. But I just think time. I think you need to pay a little due on your time, and of course Tony's done that.
Yeah.
And the statistics are there. And just need a committee to get it done.
Exactly.
We need a committee. There's no committee. And I think what I'm trying to say is I think that's the case at a lot of different places. I don't think there was a committee at Colorado that really thought this thing out.
Right.
You should have a little bit of yellow vintage tarnish to that diploma before you're eligible, right?
I guess. Well, let's talk a little bit about I had this in letter rip this morning, and I kind of slipped it over to the side. But let's talk about Nico a little bit.
Oh, can we?
Maliaba. Let's talk about him and the predicament that he's in. And, of course, Tony Iruli is not here because he's in California this morning doing what, Donnie?
He told me that he was out there in California trying to work out an NIL deal between Bojangles and Nico.
With both coupons?
Yeah.
I mean, those 50%, those 2-for-1 coupons are pretty good at Bojangles.
They are.
Tony, why did he's out? He left here.
Right.
He left here. He didn't get his $4 million, and he waited till after spring practice to make that announcement. We thought that was big of him to go through spring practice and waste their time, and then decide he's going to put his name in the transfer portal. And then it looks like the portal opened up Wednesday, and there doesn't seem to be a rush,
Right.
to get him in. And right now, it looks like UCLA may have some interest, and the figure that I'm seeing on that is $1.7 million, which is about $500,000 less than he was making here,
Right.
roughly, before he wanted the 4. So, what do you think about all this? I mean, my brother says, "Thank you, Dad, for all you've done here." We're $500,000 short. I'm $500,000 short from my original thing here.
Dad needs to go back to school, arithmetic 101.
Yeah,
because he's losing the numbers there and losing a lot of money, but.
I mean,
You can't hold a team ransom and blackmail them,
Right,
I mean, which is what it basically runs down to. So,
But in UT's case, from their perspective, they need to be thankful for that.
right,
Because it was done so ugly and dirty and taken so badly when he did not show up for practice that Friday
right.
that the fan base proved how quickly it can turn on somebody. Because by Saturday, they were backing UT that let him walk. We don't want him. But if he showed up at practice on Friday and been there on Saturday saying he wanted it, I'm not sure UT would have had the backing to say no.
right.
So the fact that it was done so clumsily in a way helped UT out.
yeah.
And I will bet you that there are several schools that have been on the phone and said, we won't sign him because we don't want to encourage anybody else to do this.
Yeah.
I thought what was interesting too was a week removed from the fact that he left. He and his family came up with this notion that, well, it's not about the money. It wasn't about the money in the first place. It was about Tennessee's offense. And I thought, what?
Yeah.
Tennessee's offense,
you
and
know-
you're going to
Yeah.
UCLA?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's so
John-
UT is known for being slow and patient and a pedestrian offense. It doesn't really favor the quarterback all that much.
Yeah. John
No.
Edwards, tell everybody, since UCLA's in the Big Ten and you follow the Big Ten up there in Indiana, tell everybody how good UCLA's offense
He's going
is.
to a school that the Indiana Hoosiers just whooped. I mean, embarrassed them. I mean,
out there.
I never realized how
Yeah.
bad a program UCLA was because they always had a nice program, years I thought. But
He has
glad
no
Tennessee
idea.
denied them because it would set a precedence, and you're going to have a lot of other players doing what he did.
Yeah.
And who wants that guy on their team? You know, he's in it for them and or for himself. And it's not a me sport.
And I still wish we knew if it was Nico or family
Yeah.
that did
Right.
this.
I
Yeah,
think
I mean, I think we have the feeling that it was not him per se,
No.
but we don't know that.
Tony
No,
White, it could have been worse. You know, there's talk now that they were thinking about holding him out of the playoffs last year. How would that have been? Holding the school ransom in the playoffs when there you are trying to make a deal where you can go on and maybe play for a national championship, and you decide I'm holding out here.
Well, I mean, it's not. I'm gonna just be honest. I don't think it's totally Nico because the culture. The father makes all the decision, and everyone have to follow by it. But I'm blaming his crew, or like his father, his agent, and everyone, as in how they handle it. They didn't handle it with respect or anything. So most of that come from his father, Big Nick. They tried to give Tennessee an offer, or I'll just say straight up. They just went straight up gangster. You know, hey, that's all what it was.
Right.
It was like a stick up. But I'm glad for Tennessee.
But it was like they went into the 7-Eleven and forgot the gun because
but-
they didn't. It wasn't a stick up because if it was a stick up, you do it in December right after that
Right.
championship game where you have
Right.
options in the portal. They waited till
no.
the portal. Everybody's pretty much settled. They've got no negotiating room whatsoever. And then they do it by walking out of practice and turning the fan base against them.
But look who's doing it.
Well, I
Okay.
understand that. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
that from the
So-
perspective of a well-executed decision, it's like they made every
Exactly.
point of decision they made the wrong move.
Exactly.
It was just ugly.
Exactly.
It was
Yeah.
just ugly.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote down some things here since he's out shopping. Since he's out shopping for $4 million, I wrote some things down here on why would you give him $4 million? I mean, that's what they're trying to get. I mean, everyone's trying to get the $4 million. Well, here's what I came up with, and you guys can add to this if you want to. I want to get your take on it, but I put down because he's got potential. He's got potential. He's got eligibility remaining. He's got more than just 1 year of eligibility. He's got several. He's got a coach at a school maybe. There's a coach at a school that's on the hot seat. Their program's on the hot seat. They're desperate. They need somebody to come in there. They look at him as, hey, this is a quarterback that went to the playoffs, and, this may be our guy. I don't know. Is there anything else you all can see that will get this guy $4 million right now? Tony, go ahead.
What you just say won't get you $4 million. No, really, I'm just saying. I'm
trying to put a light on this.
No.
I got the spotlight. That's the best I can do.
Not performance gets you $4 million.
I didn't even go up. I didn't even go with the one I wanted to go with. You got more money than you got sense.
Exactly. But potential don't get you anything. You got to perform.
Yeah.
I mean,
at
you're
that
the
level,
average.
At that level.
Yeah, but you're
you
average
shouldn't be saying
quarterback.
at that level you got
You're
potential.
average.
Yeah,
you have to have one or
You're
two
average.
things.
Hold on, you're average. Let me just say this right here. You're average, and your deal was worth $8 million. Then you had a bonus in there worth 10.
And you got paid money out of high school.
We went to they went to court.
Yeah.
They went to court. So they done spend a lot of money on you, and you ain't performing, and you're going to ask for $4.
They made it.
This is the thing.
Man, don't get me started. I've been trying to be.
I know.
But this number started with Stetson Bennett being valued at $4 million for the transfer.
But don't worry about somebody else.
But Stetson has a track record. He has titles to his name. He has performance.
Exactly. That's
you
what I
don't get
started
to
saying.
ask for that money just because you think you're that good.
No.
You got to
That's what
prove
I'm-
you're that good.
He is no
That's what I'm
Stetson
saying.
Bennett at this point.
No. And that brings me to my next point, because I had that one on my list too. If you've got the money and you're looking at him, maybe you give him the 4 because you need a backup. You see what I'm saying? You need a backup quarterback. Huh, Tony?
Maybe
Not for the-
Dion. Maybe
not for
Dion
the
will get him
$4
out
million.
of Colorado.
Not for the $4 million. Not for the $4 million.
Yeah.
And that's the one that was not on anybody's list that I saw, but it was the one that was the top of my list. That if he had a chance to go somewhere that might be crazy enough to pay him that money, who was in need of a quarterback, it would be Colorado.
No.
Yeah.
It would.
Now here's
I
some
don't
things.
think Colorado won't deal with it.
Here's some things
Because
I
you got
wrote.
to deal with his people.
Here's some things I wrote down that you
But
would.
if there's
Dion?
anybody that could think they could deal with his people and win,
No,
that would be
no,
Dion,
no.
wouldn't it?
No. Dion and Big Nick? No. That ain't happening.
You don't want to
ain't
see that?
happening.
That could be. They could do a pay-per-view event. with that.
Dion didn't want to see that. Not me. Dion's smart enough. Hey, I'm not dealing with that cat.
Yeah. All right. I've got some things here why they wouldn't be interested in him, because that seems to be since Wednesday to today.
Okay.
We're not seeing that great interest. I don't think. But
I want to add something real quick.
Yeah.
I want to add something real quick. Tennessee made an investment in him going back to high school. They paid him, redshirted him, paid him money then, and then he comes in and has a decent season, But if you're going to ask for more money, how about ask for more money to get yourself a couple of receivers?
that he wanted. That his
Get
dad
themselves
wanted.
a line that's going to protect him. That's what a team player does. That's in this whole NIL situation. Get the tools that are going to make you successful, and that's getting you the receivers.
And that's a heck of a point. And Tony, they got $2.2 million over there now. They got $2.2 million to do exactly what he's saying if they want to do it.
Well, I'm thinking about switching sports.
But you know what we haven't seen yet? Is,
You're right.
We haven't seen yet is what we see in the NFL from the Class A quarterbacks who are getting that big salary, where they take care of their linemen with gifts and stuff after the season. We haven't seen that translate to college yet, have we?
No.
We're not
so.
seeing that money being handed out a little bit because you're the guys that got my back, sort of thing.
It's coming.
You better be.
If you look at the pros,
it's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming.
if you look at the pros, that's why Tom Brady was so successful in the New England Patriots. He was never one of the top earning quarterbacks because he wanted his line to be taken care of to protect him. And you how many Super Bowls? 7. So
Let's go back to Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
Peyton
Manning.
When he went with the Colts, they had a horrible offensive line.
Right.
They didn't know if he was going to make it through the year. And what did they do that next year? They went out and they spent some money. And boy, did it pay off.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But after Ohio State, it seemed like Big Nick would have said, hey, I spent that extra money getting him a line.
Yeah.
But
Let me. Now, I know this is crazy, but let's say he goes out there and he gets religion and he goes, I made the wrong. And his dad, we've done the wrong. We did a bad deal here, and they make the call back here and say, look, we've reevaluated everything, and we've made an awful mistake here, and we feel horrible about it, and we want to come back, and this is really where we want to be, and I want to apologize to my teammates and my coaches and the fans, and it's a solid apology, and they've already invested in this guy in spring practice. It's the best they got. And they say, well, you know what? Our deal is to rehabilitate kids, to make them better, to make them better people, make them better players. Maybe we can change. Well, maybe we can help this guy. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Is there any chance that they would take him back, Tony?
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's pretty clear.
No. That sounded good. You had me going for a little bit.
What if
I hit you right here in the heart.
Yeah, well,
what if we kick in this situation? What if he does not find a home? What if he ends up sitting this year at home and comes back in a year with that same spiel? Is UT willing to listen after he's been gone for a year?
No.
Well, let's
We're moving on.
Let's talk about this. Let's say that Tennessee goes with their backup. Was it Mecklinger or?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
we got to learn that name sometime.
Merklinger.
Yeah, Merklinger.
Let's say they go with Merklinger, and things don't turn out so good. And Nico goes someplace, and he plays lights out. Now, we know how these Tennessee fans are, Tony. We played before them. We kind of know how they are. Are they going to come back and say, well, we should have given him the $4.2 million. We had it, and we just didn't do it, and here we are.
You can't take him back because they're already having fans trade his jersey in for a jersey of another player. So, they're already wiping him clean.
Ice Bears jerseys.
They would have
been in for Ice Bears.
That's what I mean. It would have been a concern if things had not gone the way it was. That was a concern. But because of that no-show on Friday, Tennessee has a free card for this season, I think.
Okay.
I
We
think
need to
the
pay the
fan
money.
base will put up with 6-6 just because they know what happened.
And you think they're all right with that? You think
they won't be okay with it, but they'll accept it because
accept
if the alternative was that or bringing him back under those conditions, I think most of them are going to lean towards I'll take this.
You need to spend the money and go get Manning's what you need to do.
So basically what
that's a $6 million
what
deal.
Well, there you go.
Dwayne down there.
Manning
Dwayne's
back
down there. Yeah, let's go get the $6 million guy. We're going to have to pay him $10 million, but let's go after him.
Could you imagine all the jerseys they'd sell if they could get that Manning kid up there?
Let's go back to those jerseys, Donnie. There's not a chance that Brian Johnston and Goteez printed all those Nico jerseys up. We haven't seen him for a while. You don't think he's taking a bath on that, do you? Hopefully that's coming from somewhere else.
That could be highly possible.
Yeah.
Well, they could always do a new fundraising campaign with T-shirt, no Nico, no problem, and sell those around Knoxville to help the NIL.
Well, they could take those jerseys and send them to the same place that they send those Super Bowl jerseys.
Yeah.
To the team that didn't win, but they printed all their jerseys up. And
here's what I'd be a little bit concerned with Nico. Based on what I see. Let's say he goes to UCLA and he has a pretty good year out there. He has a pretty good year. They're not a great team, because of their talent level, but he has a pretty good year. Is this just going to be a step for him to just put his name right back into the portal and go somewhere else? And
I think he's hoping so.
If he settles for UCLA, I think that he's going to, if he has a great season, he's going to
go for more money.
I think
it's hard for him
if
to have a great season
good,
with
how
UCLA.
They have a great season?
What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, I do.
You hopped and scopped all around the pros. Tell us about what this guy is. He going to hop out for more money somewhere else? You think?
Well, it's going to be hard. Even if you have a decent year, it's going to be hard for him to make what he was making here at UT because of his track record. That's all. I'm just saying it's going to be hard
because what happened here?
Yeah, because the quarterback. you're supposed to be leading the
He's
team.
the leader. Yeah.
He's the leader.
Yeah.
And how he left here.
Was
you know,
ugly, very ugly.
Yeah, you practice all the way up until orange and white game where it's supposed to be a lot of stuff going
Right.
on, and then you just say
You
no.
just say goodbye.
You just said goodbye. Didn't talk to the coaches. Didn't do nothing.
Didn't show up to practice.
Just didn't
Didn't
show.
show up, and that was it.
Yeah, and they didn't know. They acted like they didn't know.
If he
Said they
doesn't
did.
get the deal, UCLA or whoever has interest in him, I don't know. I just think that he's in a bad. I think he's in a bad situation right now.
Well, I'm going to
I'll
tell
tell
you
you
something. You guys are coming down
For
a
sure.
lot harder on him than I think most people came down on him.
Can't
I
wait-
think Heupel was a class act with what he said. I don't know that he really felt
Yeah.
that way down inside, but he was a class act in what he said about him
I
leaving
agree.
and everything. After going through spring practice and leaving him in the shape he's left him in, I think he was, and I think the fans for the most part have. I mean, I'm just sort of thinking this back in the Lane Kiffin situation. The Lane Kiffin situation that just packed up and left. I mean, this is it's just. I mean, we've been as hard on him as anybody, don't
We
you
have,
think,
I
Donnie?
agree.
No, well, see,
I think we have.
well, see, Hypo understand what was actually happened. It wasn't Nico. See, that's what everyone got to understand. It wasn't Nico. It was his. How do you say?
family or whoever's
Family.
managing.
His support group.
There you go. It was
His agents.
His agents.
Yeah.
They were the people that was shopping him around, doing everything, and so you got to look at it.
Yeah.
You got to look at it. You got to what?
Tony said
19-year-old kid.
Tony said he's the leader, and he is the guy that the team rallies behind. And would his heart have been in it? Would his heart be in it if he came back to Tennessee? I don't
No,
know.
no,
I don't think
no.
so.
Tony
and the
said that-
team wouldn't be behind him either.
Tony said his agents, his dad, and all those people involved were looking out for Nico and trying to get him.
Nah.
They're looking out for themselves.
Right.
I
That's what
think.
I'm trying to tell
Looking
you.
out for that
Yeah,
cash.
They're looking out for themselves too. I mean, it's just not Nico.
Right. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Nico would have took the money. Now, hey, don't be wrong about that. But man,
He's not going to get much of it.
So with
Everybody else
with
is.
all this
Not
being
now.
said, Tennessee, they're left with they're left with the freshman redshirt freshman Jake Merklinger and George McIntyre, who's a true freshman. Now, the way I look at it, by golly, they were good enough to come in here and be recruited and play here at UT.
right?
Dwayne, I'm thinking, go with them, give them a chance, bring them on.
And it's not
Well,
like
that's what you're gonna
it's
have
not
to
like
do
they're
now.
bad quarterbacks. I mean,
No. Yeah.
you're talking about a four-star quarterback and an in-state kid
Right.
who shined.
And these guys
Maybe they're not. We'll find out if they're ready for
They
SEC.
just need
They're looking for
experience and
opportunity.
playing time. They need some playing time.
Good.
Well, the thing we've seen is it takes you a year to get. Most quarterbacks need a year with Josh Heupel to understand that
The
offense.
offense.
Sure.
Right. Okay.
So it's not like you're going to be able to bring somebody in the fall camp anyway.
Complicated.
Well, the transfer portal's open. Are they looking at a quarterback? Is there somebody else they're going to bring in here and play? I mean, you look at other schools. Notre Dame. The last 2 years that Notre Dame went to Duke last year,
Right.
and the year I think they went to. Did they go to Duke twice or no? Wake Forest. They brought in a player from Wake Forest, a quarterback, and then a quarterback from Duke. To Notre Dame. I know this is a little bit late in the game because you're not going to have a whole lot of time here. Should UT look at a transfer portal quarterback at this time, or should they look at what John's saying here and maybe some receivers or some linemen, that may help the situation? What do y'all think about that?
How good are the quarterbacks they've got right now that's left? I know they were.
We don't know.
We don't know. They're unproven.
Yeah.
I'm available.
But they know the system.
I'm
They know
available.
the system. One of them's a redshirt freshman, so he knows the system.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I'm available. 500,000.
But you're faster than you're going to be.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, Tony looks pretty good. We can put him out there. Tony, how much you want to go for? We'll go over there and talk to him. And, you look like maybe. Well, they got two good tailbacks over there, so I don't know. Can you catch the ball, son? We can do something with it. Yeah.
Not at
I
60.
think
Not
you
at
old
60.
you Tennessee.
Can't do it at 60.
I think these old athletes, you
Yeah.
guys that reparations
Yeah.
for what they put you through, and you played for the love of the game to win champion. You wasn't about money.
That's true.
We could probably put 500 guys together to go over there, but only about 450 can walk, to get over there to try to get some money.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, we'll be on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We ready to go to break? Okay. Well, that was fun. I don't know what we saw, but it was fun. Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and we'll return, and Donnie Moore will provide high school scores and some news around the other sports news around the area, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons joins us with his feature Mark It Down. You're listening to the Goteez Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Goteez Sports Page, and Donnie Moore, this is your section, so we're going to let you chime in there with Marcus. And
It is, and I'll be happy to hop in there.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus.
Still got Donnie on the injured reserve list over here.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, but he's the one who knows how to introduce us for our favorite person to steal home from.
Yeah.
Do you want to give her the props, Donnie?
This is the Mandy B. Street Realty local scoreboard.
There you
go.
Compliments of our friend Mandy B. Street and her realty. If you got realty needs, go see Mandy. She'll take care of you.
See, that was so good. I can't do that. I
Beautiful.
can't replicate that. So we're going a little bit around the scoreboard. We're getting down. Basically, we're down to the last week of the regular season
Yes,
for
we
spring
are.
sports,
What?
and they've got Monday of next week. Well, they've got 8 days basically, and then district tournaments start firing up on May 2nd, 3rd, around in there. So, couple rivalry games that got played in the last couple of days. We'll kind of run some of those down. Starting off with softball last night. Going into the bottom of the 7th, it's tied 3-3 between Alcoa and Maryville.
That was a good one.
And there was there's an error. Alcoa plates 2 runs, wins that one 5-3. Big rivalry game between those two, and I want to say we got to see several of those players back at the beginning of the season.
Yes, we did.
Because they had those 5 seniors that signed, and we talked about their pitching, and that was key last night for Alcoa because Kalo Slape went the whole way to pick up the win, gave up 6 hits in those 3 runs. But Holly Bailey, 3 for 5 and 2 stolen bases.
Yeah.
That gives you somebody to plate every time when she's out there. So that was key for Alcoa as
true.
well.
Of course, Hallie's a great all-around softball player. She can play defense. She can run. She can hit. She can throw. She's got all the tools.
But when she's really good about, even when she's not in the position to get a ribby, just to get somebody on base and start putting that pressure on the defense. She's really, really good at that, and especially with her ability to steal. Because when you're worried about somebody stealing, you're not as ready for that line drive. That makes a difference. Also on softball diamond, Heritage continued their winning ways. They're up to 18-7 with a 10-0 win over Sequoia.
Shut up.
And the Lady Mountaineers, if game changers to be believed, 7 games in the last 8 days of the regular season before they go into the postseason.
That's wicked.
But they'll be tested and they'll be ready for that tournament schedule when it runs up.
I guess they figure it's better than practicing.
And then some guests we're going to be seeing in the next hour, but They picked up a district win last night. Eagleton 11-0 over GP. The Lady Royals. I want to say at this point, the only teams they have lost to have, except once at the beginning of the year, has either been Alcoa or a 4A team. Goodness. They're pretty steady against everybody in their classification. Yeah. Moving over to the baseball diamond, teams are they're really beginning to show some stuff right now. Eagleton took a loss to Heritage, and that was a midweek game. It's not a district game, but it was a rivalry game. Heritage won that one 15-2, and Eagleton's now 12-10 on the year. Heritage and Maryville played Thursday and Friday, and Maryville won on Thursday 11-1 over Heritage. Heritage repaid that favor last night with a 12-2 win over Maryville. So as far as that's looking out, that's that rivalry's kind of even at this point. Yeah. But then the ones I want to brag about, Alcoa, they've been quietly chugging along. I mean, it's weird. They've been in the shadow of the softball team mostly in the spring.
Yes, they have.
But they had a great run last year. Right now, after last night, they've won their 9th straight. They beat Kingston 5-0. They beat Loudon 5-0 the day before. They won all 4 games this week by a combined score of 48-1.
Ooh.
I mean, they're chugging along. They're 22-4. They've only dropped 4 games this year. They have a busy final week ahead, but gotta like where they are. They're looking. The Tornadoes are looking really good, and this last run through 2A before they move up next year, it looks like it's just them and Pigeon Forge is what it looks like from the East. So we'll see if this postseason plays out that way. But from where the regular season stands and where that win-loss is, you've got to be waiting for that region meeting.
Steve Dunn still coaching over at Alcoa?
He is.
He's a good baseball coach. Good skipper.
He is, and you know what? I really like it. The Tornadoes always take the field looking like a team.
They do.
Even if they're only a 500 team, they go out there looking like a team, and they warm up like a team. They're dressed like a team. They look like big leaguers.
They do.
So he always does a good job with some of those.
He was a big leaguer.
Yeah,
Minnesota Twins.
Yeah,
got called up for 2 games, I think.
So anyway, that wraps that up. I'm going to say we haven't been keeping up with lacrosse, but I have information that we are going to be getting some lacrosse scores reported now. That's been a problem, is that they didn't have an app of their own or a way to report scores, and now that they seem to be solving that problem a little bit, so we'll be able to work on some of that. And we'll also catch up with signing days next week, because the next round is finishing up, and we're also getting into that point of the year where we're going to start seeing the bulk of the 2-year signings will start coming in the next week or so. So we'll get those wrapped up and give you a full list coming up over the last couple of weeks of our season, because we're closing in on the end.
Yes, we are.
But again, brought to you by Mandy B Street Realty.
Yeah.
And Mike, we're going to let you have a little bit of time to mark it down.
Okay.
Because I know you've got special guests in the house, and for people who've been watching and been wondering what that big yellow thing is sitting on the table, do you want to describe what this big yellow thing is? This bit of history sitting here is.
We're gonna talk about it a little bit later, but I've got John Edwards here from Indiana, and we've got an Indy 500 helmet here, 4-time winner, 4-time winning helmet, Rick Mears, and there's been four-time winners.
Very elite group.
A.J. Foyd, Al Unser Sr., and Helio Castroneves, and of course Rick Mears. And
some great
John, tell everybody a little bit about this helmet you brought in here this morning.
This is a helmet that was in a collection of a friend of mine who recently passed away.
Oh, wow.
And I had a clothing business for a number of years, and when I got out, I needed something to do, got in the memorabilia business, and I got the opportunity to meet a lot of nice people. But this is a real special helmet because of the person that wore it at the time, and arguably one of the greatest drivers at the Indianapolis 500, and there's been many. 9 poles, I think, and 4 wins, 20. So he's pretty strong.
Yeah. When you think of the 4-time winners at the Indianapolis 500, you know, everybody thinks of A.J. Foyt because he was the first 4-time winner.
Right.
But in actuality, A.J. he actually backed into about 3 of those wins. You know? A.J. doesn't talk about that a lot, but you had, you know, Eddie Sachs had to come in with 3 laps to go, and A.J. just put it on around there and for 3 laps and got that 500. And then in '67, the Turbine car quit with 3 laps to go, and A.J. said thank you very much and drove around 3 more laps and got another win. And 77,
Gordy John
Cock
lap ahead, basically.
Lap ahead.
Yeah,
his car quit on him with, I don't know, what, 10 laps or 15?
20-some laps
20
to
laps,
go.
but he was
but
in
still,
control.
it was kind of
and
dominating.
Then in '64, Foyt won the race. He beat Roger Ward and by about, I think, a lap plus anyway. But Rick Mears, on the other hand, solid wins pretty much for him.
A lot of people know Foyt. A lot of people know Andretti. Rick Mears, a lot of people, even as much as he accomplished throughout his career, still a lot of people, if you don't follow racing, you don't really know who he is. I mean, and I think a lot of that Andretti and Foyt both raced a lot of different forms of racing back when they were running. Sprint cars. Andretti won Daytona 500 his first time there. Andretti World Driving Championship, Formula One driver in '78. But Rick Mears, he was something special, and what an ambassador to the sport. He's a guy that no matter where he was or what he was doing, he was going to sign an autograph for somebody that wanted it. And his autograph always said Rick Mears, and then he said thanks, because he was really always appreciative of the people that came to the races and watched and followed him. So a lot of fun. Coming from Indiana, it's a big time for us.
And Rick Mears drove for a pretty good car owner.
Yeah, Roger Penske. Yeah.
No question about that.
That makes a little bit of difference. You know,
It
he had
does.
pretty good equipment there.
But he caught Roger's eye in '77, and then rode part-time with Penske in '78. And he was on a part-time basis because Andretti was running Formula One. So when Andretti wasn't available, Rick took over. And he won a couple races in '78. And then in '79, Penske signed him for a full-time deal. And in his second year, basically running, he won the Indianapolis 500-mile race, and the rest is history. He's a very talented driver.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but he was in a duel with Gordon Johncock, I believe, in 1982. 1982. You want to tell everybody just exactly how much he lost that race to Gordon Johncock?
Yeah, they were battling.
It was
unbelievable. You know, on the edge of your seat type of racing. And, you know, open wheel racing, you're side by side and you hook wheels, you're flipping. You're going into the fence. And these guys were ferocious, and they both had a lot of respect for one another. They ran a race to the end that was it was a whisker.
14/500ths of a second, some ridiculous figure like that. Can you believe? And that could have been his fifth. That could have been his fifth win.
Right.
Yeah.
And he had a couple of more like that too. That he could have won more than just 4. I mean,
so it's exciting. If any of you guys have never been, you can't really get the experience of how exciting it really is until you actually go there and see it. I mean, it's insane.
My cousin lives up there. He's tried to get me to come for years.
You got to go. And Tony, if you ever have opportunity to get back to Indianapolis, not only go to St. Elmo's again, but to go. Hey, if you thought that shrimp cocktail was hot, you should go see this race.
Yeah.
Hey,
and Tony, the thing about what you need to
chip
do,
off the old blockade.
you need to go. You need to head to. You need to head to St. Elmo's, get you a big steak and some of that shrimp, and then head out there and take that 2-seater ride.
Oh,
See how long that lasts in your stomach.
Yeah, you might.
That's okay.
You might end up with what they call gumbo in your lap.
Nah. That's not gumbo.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Tony,
That's another kind of mud.
you would fit perfectly in that 2-seater. You'd go right down in there, and they lock you in there, and I mean, you can't move, and they're gone.
Hey, they go 180 miles an hour, 109, something like in a 2-seater.
Yeah.
So, and you're experiencing it, so
that's 180 average, and you're looking at down the straightaways over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, all right then. That sounds wonderful.
They do offer. They do offer before you get into the car, they give you some Depends to put on if you need them.
Yeah, and they take care of you, Tony. They ask you about your life insurance and your doctor and your medical insurance, and they got 2 ambulances down there at the end of the pitch. They're ready. I mean, you got nothing to worry about.
What they need, though, is one of those little cameras so that you can see your face go like this.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what it looks like without any wrinkles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah. Hey, Tennessee baseball team, Marcus, they won 2 this week. Bellarmine, am I pronouncing that right? Bellarmine. They beat them on Tuesday 13-3. Beat Kentucky yesterday 8-2. So they're in it overall at 33-5 and 12-4, and that's coming off taking 2 out of 3 down at Ole Miss last week, Marcus. So have they recovered from the Texas A&M?
Well, I think we've seen 2 things in the 2 weeks since Texas A&M bounced back and took that home series. Was one, Tennessee was not as bad as they looked the last 2 games of the A&M series. They've played rather well since then. Winning a series on the road helped. They didn't sweep it, but they were in position where they could have. They need to finish off Kentucky this weekend. They need to be in position to let the kids happily run around with Easter eggs at Lindsey Nelson and enjoy the weekend and not slip up. But the other thing we've seen is that since that Friday night loss to Tennessee, there was a 10-0, and A&M looked awful. They've won 7 of 8 games since then. They blasted Arkansas at Arkansas.
Yeah, they really ripped them.
And I've forgotten where they had a home series they swept against South Carolina in between.
Yeah.
They look like the team that everybody thought they could be when they were a top 3 team in the preseason and then dropped out of the polls. They look like that kind of team. And where before, when they started off the season, everybody was kind of picking the chinks and, oh, they're vulnerable here, they're vulnerable. They're the ones doing that now. They're the ones who are coming after where people are weak. Yeah. So they're playing much better as a challenger than they did as a defender.
Yeah. They've got Kentucky over there today at 6 o'clock, and that's on the SEC Network Plus. Okay. And they've got Kentucky tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and that's also on SEC Network Plus. Okay. Donnie Moore, I think this is interesting. Tennessee is ranked 4th in the country.
Right.
They're 4th in the country, but they're 3rd in the SEC.
Well, what's that tell you?
You want to explain that to me? Because you're 3rd in your league, and you're 4th in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That speaks for itself. This is a great baseball.
The reason I'm questioning that, in your league, you're behind Texas and Arkansas, which is number 1 and number 2 in the country, and you're behind those 2. But you're not good enough to be number 3. They moved Clemson into number 3 and play you number 4. I'm having a little bit of trouble following that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so.
And that's one of the things that I think I said we're going to even out with this SEC as the course of the season goes along. Is they bumped Tennessee down 2 spots when they lost the series at home to A&M. Arkansas just did the same thing as the number 2 team in the country. So if Tennessee sweeps this weekend, you might very well see that reverse in the polls, even though the standings are not going to change that much in the conference.
Yeah. Well, if you think that's a little odd, look at the ladies the Vols softball deal. They are 5th. They are 5th in the Southeastern Conference, but they're second in the country. How do you do that?
You go.
Would somebody explain that to me?
You go and win at Oklahoma and Texas. Is how you do that.
I understand that. I understand all of that, but still, that's if you're looking at that, you're going, well, how could they be 5th in their league and 2nd in the country? If you're looking at it,
but like we saw them struggle the first game with Auburn, and it's they are not a disciplined hitting team yet. They're improving, but if you have a confounding pitcher, Tennessee doesn't always stick to the game plan. They're not as disciplined as they need to be at the plate, and they can be coaxed into swinging at bad pitches and getting outside of game plan.
Yeah. Well, the Lady Vol softball team has taken the first 2 from Auburn. Beat Auburn on Thursday 4-2, and they beat Auburn yesterday 6-4, and They've got Auburn today, and they'll be on the SEC network. 36-9 overall, and 11-6 in the Southeastern Conference. Is this the year, because they have beaten Texas and Oklahoma? Is this the year that we see the Lady Vol softball team advance into the? Do they get over the hump this year and advance maybe to the World Series? Or whatever?
The thing is, it totally depends on where you end up in that bracket. And I hate to say this, but it could really depend on what SEC team you have to play in a super regional, depending on where you are seated and where you go. I mean, they're looking at the polls. The SEC could have like half this regional host, and if that's the case, you could very easily end up paired against an Oklahoma or a Texas if you're not in the right position.
Sure.
You need a good super regional pairing to get to the College World Series, because this SEC tournament is going to be phenomenal. I mean, you're going to see it's going to be like the SEC men's basketball tournament. You're going to see the best in the country playing each other.
Yeah,
I agree.
Tony White, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit about Tennessee basketball, and I want to get your take on the legacy of last year's team. Steve, I know how Steve Spurrier would have viewed it. He would have said, well, we had a lot of exciting games. We beat a lot of good people, and we had a lot of great individual performances. We sold a lot of tickets. We won a lot of hearts, but we didn't win anything. Didn't win the SEC, didn't win a national championship. This basketball team didn't win SEC, didn't win the tournament. But they went to the Elite Eight.
Right.
Are you seeing it on Steve? It's, the Steve Spurrier sort of
No.
Mr. Rain Cloud, or are you more on the soothing side? Which side are you on as far as the legacy of this past season's basketball?
I'll say just soothing. I think that they overaccomplished a lot. They did a lot. They did a lot this year. I mean, they didn't win the championships, and we didn't go to the Final Four, went to Elite Eight, but I think they did well. They did very well. I mean, considering that we had players that was their first year here and everything, and Rick did a good job as in getting them,
Yeah.
So see that Tony's on the Don DeVoe side of things.
Oh, I like Tony. He's upbeat. He's making me feel really good right here. Now let me ask you this:
just trying to
if they
Don
hadn't,
DeVoe up again.
if they hadn't beat, Don's kind of my grandfather. If they hadn't beat Kentucky, would you still be talking like did beating Kentucky save them as far as their legacy on the season?
It helped.
Sure didn't hurt.
Because they'd already lost
It helped
twice.
I mean, it helped. I mean, we couldn't go down 0-3 to Kentucky this year, but it was the most important game that count, right?
Right.
Okay, there you go. So,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
It was an important game.
So you feel good. You feel good.
I feel good about it.
What happened, and
I feel good about it because you had players. You had players. I mean, we really need to work on the inside game. We didn't have an inside game this year.
Pain points.
So
At the beginning of the season, though, you didn't think they'd go that far, did you?
At this time last year, I didn't think they'd go anywhere because they didn't have any player, but they were putting together their all-star team like they're doing now. They're in the portal, but putting them together next year's all-star team. And I think the fans like that. They want to know what kind of all-star team they're going to have the next year. And I'm going to
we're going to have a pretty good team coming up.
And I'm going to get to that question too with Tony, because we reload through the portal. And
true.
Barnes is really good at that. But can you continue that?
Well, if it's working, you better continue.
I mean,
but
you
I'm
gotta
just saying.
I mean, if it was me, I'd be getting real nervous about going to the portal every year to get my team. But
you're getting experienced players. I mean, instead of right now, I mean, it's like now. You got to win now. You can't develop players like when we came out. No. School's not waiting that long no more. It's now. So when you go to the portal, you actually get experienced veteran players that, adapted to the NCAA, the competition-wise. But you're just not going to go and get Even if you have a 5-star, if you get a 5-star come into college, he's not going to produce. They don't have that time anymore.
You're not going to see what Duke did repeated year after year.
Exactly.
And the thing is, you bring in that guy, it's no better than getting a graduate transfer who's only got 1 year left, because you bring in that all-star 5-star freshman, chances are you're only going to have him the first season, and that's going to be the growing season.
That's true.
Exactly. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs.
Well, let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
I know you're up. I know you're up on it. And you got Opara, you got Phillips, you got Estrella, you got some players that's coming back, and now you go to the transfer portal, and you got to divvy up some money, to get these guys in here. Does it cause any problem if you pay these guys more than what you've already got there, and guys that's already played? I don't know. What do you played over there and I played over there? If you're playing and I'm playing and we're on the team right now, and they bring some guy in there and he's getting 2 or 3 more. He's getting
just say
we're getting $5 million, and they bring him in.
just say for instance, Chaz from last year, he came in, they paid him. There you go. There wasn't no problem.
Okay.
There wasn't no problem.
Okay.
But it can't be a big gap.
I see. I understand.
This is what I'm saying. So I think Rick do a good job.
He got that under control.
He got that under control because he wanted to control the locker room. And I think they do a good job at that. But you ain't going to have, like, certain players getting $500,000, then some getting $2 or $3 million. Now, that causes problems.
Yeah. This team, it looks a lot like where we were last year. I mean, we lost a lot of players going into this past season. And we've lost a lot of players, coming into this season. So do you think that this team coming in, do you think that next year's team, just looking at it right now, can do what this year's team did, or maybe go beyond that?
I think they can do what this team did, honestly. Because if you look who we're replacing, as in guard, you got Gillespie, right? He played at Maryland, right?
Yeah.
They went to the NCAA tournament, right? He's coming back home. He's from Greensville. He's coming here to play. So that's an experienced guard. That's not a guard coming out of high school that you got to mold. I mean, but he understands that. And then they got the guy from Vanderbilt, right? The big, banger. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we was lacking this year. We didn't have nobody that could bang. I mean, he killed us a couple of games, just
Sure
rebounding,
did.
hustling inside. That's what we needed. So, and then you got the other experienced guy who played a year but had to sit out. What's his name?
It's hurt.
Estrella.
Okay, he's
Estrella.
back. And then you got
Phillips.
Phillips, yeah.
Yeah, so you got a nucleus right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that we got to find someone that can come in and score.
So what do they need? A scorer. They need a big man. I mean, they need a good, solid big man.
Big man, yeah.
We got the guy from Vanderbilt was solid, right?
Yeah.
He's not that as tall though. He's what, 6'8" or something? Is he 6'8" or?
Yeah.
But okay, he's 6'8", but he's a banger.
Okay.
You can get a 7-footer that's going to shoot threes. Okay. We need to bang. So there you go. That's inside paint.
I think one of the reasons that Rick Barnes is successful in the transfer portal is his number one deal is defense. I mean, he builds his program around solid defensive play, and then he puts in the offense. He builds that into the deal. But his defense, he gets that solid. And I think from year in and year out, I think that's why he's successful getting guys out of the portal. Sure. Instead of looking at offense first and scoring points, and this is our deal, he starts with the defense.
But, he would target – see, he's targeting building around, just like what you say, the defense. But now I think he got that. Now he going to look and see what the guy was fit in and buy in his system, as in a guy that can shoot the ball.
Yeah. Got one more question here for you, Tony, because we got to go to break. But I was over there the night you scored 51, and you lit it up. I was there, and I want to know now that if it were then the way it is now, after you got the 51, you had the year you had over there. Are you in the transfer portal?
And how much would you ask?
And how much are you going to ask, Tony?
see, now you have to say, now that was my senior year.
Well,
But just say like if I was a junior and I
Yeah.
scored 51, I wouldn't get in the portal because I think Tennessee would take care of me.
You want to win a championship.
I'm gonna take it.
You know,
Yeah.
you want to win.
Yeah, but I think they would take care of me.
yeah.
So I wouldn't be worried about that.
So you'd stick around.
I stick around. Yeah. Senior
You wouldn't
year.
use Don DeVoe's style of play at the end of that portal?
Nah.
Well, you'd have scored 60 or 70 that night if you had a different style of play.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're sure.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, he was more of a defensive hawk than Barnes was.
Oh my.
Had to pass it 10 times,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Oh man, he voted against the shot clock and the 3-point to come into the NCAA.
Wow.
And I couldn't shoot it. I couldn't shoot the 3.
Yeah. He came down the floor and passed it so many times he wanted to make sure his offense was right before he shot it.
No, he took me. See, it was so funny. I can tell everybody this now, because he took me off the point guard so that he could control.
Yeah.
And so he said, "Hey, you play 2. I'm bringing somebody else in to play 1."
There you go. There you go.
there you
Hey, it's time to turn the page, and next up is the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. You're listening to the Goteez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net. For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew. And now it's time for the Goteez Sports Page Player of the Week segment, featuring Daily Times senior reporter Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority, proudly serving Blount County for over 100 years. Marcus, it's always great to have you on for the high school segment, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thanks, Mike.
Yep.
We kind of teased this a little bit back during the local scoreboard in the first hour, but we're pleased to be joined this morning by some players and coaches from Eagleton softball. And Coach, I'm going to start off with you. I'm going to make sure the game changer is right. They say you're 15-11-1. Does that sound right?
That is correct.
Okay. How do you get a 1? How do you? What is a tie in softball?
Well, Natalie doesn't like to talk about it too much. We were in a tournament in Anderson County, and
You ran out of time?
It's drop dead.
Okay.
In those before the bracket starts. So.
All right. So we appreciate you coming in this morning because we know that high school players, teenagers love to get up on Saturday morning and come down and hang out with the old guys. So we appreciate them doing that. And I don't know what you had to bribe them with, but we appreciate it. But, Coach, the thing that we've wanted to have you on several times, and this is a little bit after the fact, but can you brag about the new ballpark? Because it looks fantastic driving by it.
It's absolutely awesome. We are so happy and excited to finally have a home. And baseball as well, of course, too. But, You know, I've made this comment several times. I'm so tired of loading my car up everywhere we go, having to travel everywhere, and it's so nice to be able to put our stuff, leave our stuff there, and have a home to where we can meet, we can eat, and you know, for away games, home games, it's really nice. The county has done a great job with the facilities, and the field's great, and we love the turf because I'm happy. I never have to get a field ready again, so that's super nice for me. But just for them, I'm so excited for them. I'm glad we have 3 seniors, just 2 of our seniors here today. I'm so happy for them they got to be a part of that. But I can't thank Brian Baldwin and the mayor. They've done some great things for us over there, and super excited.
Well, go ahead and introduce these 2 seniors you brought with you there.
It's Natalie Merle. She's played all 4 years for me, and I'm really going to miss her. She's been a big part of what we've done, and she plays shortstop for us. And then Carly Brapson on the end here. She's played a couple of years for us, and I'm going to miss both of them greatly. Carly pitches and plays third for us, and they've been a big part of what we've done, what we've been able to accomplish.
So you've brought the left side of the infield. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I've done.
Okay.
And I want to say our third senior, Paisley Bales, she's had knee surgery yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, my.
Her third one.
Oh, wow.
So we were in a scrimmage first of the year. She just had ACL surgery the year before and thought it looked good, everything was clear, and she stepped on home plate and slipped, and her ACL was just gone. So surgery went well yesterday. She's in good spirits. We'll get to see her soon, hopefully next week. So, but we've missed her this year.
Is she able to come and kind of help from the bench? And
well, she has. She, like I said, before the surgery, she's been there every game that she can, and yes, she's done a lot.
Well, let me pick on your seniors then, because if I remember right, these are the first seniors coming out, right?
Well, you know, we had 2 last year that went through SESI, Samuel Everett, but this is the first, you know, true group of seniors, and they both go to Eagleton. So yes, it's our first graduating class this year from Eagleton. So we're super exciting.
Well, now that I'm going to pick on you first, what was it like? You all go out there for the opening. The field gets open, and you have to wait 30 minutes while everybody's talking and presenting and doing all. Was that just like, please let us play, we are ready to play, or were you all just happy to be out there?
I mean, honestly, I was just taking in the moment. Like, I wanted to cherish everything, you know. I'm not really ready for it to end, so I'm kind of just, you know, taking it day by day and not really rushing it.
And then, Carly, what was the anticipation like? Because you all played a couple weeks of the season before you got to actually have that home field. So was there a little bit of, when do we get to go? When do we get to go going on?
Oh, yeah, definitely very much wanting to hit the gas and go, ready to get on our field and show people what we can do on our home turf, you know, close, local, yeah.
So Coach brought the perfect people to ask this question of. Defensively, you're on the left side of that infield. On turf, are you having to make some adjustments because turf doesn't take a bounce the same way that dirt does? Is that a little bit of an adjustment to how you have to field balls and how you have to play them at home?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. It took a few days of practice to really get used to it. You know, diving on dirt, it's like you're hitting concrete. But on turf, it's like you dive and you hit a cloud, and it's like, woo, I actually got the ball this time.
But you also have to make that adjustment that if you dive for a ball, you're not stopping when you hit the turf.
Right.
You're carrying 3 feet. And if you try to pop up and throw, it is very easy to pop up and throw it 3 feet further than you meant to.
Been
Yeah.
there.
Coach has seen this happen. He's laughing.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times to Carly.
So how do you, I mean, you can't just teach it all the time because you also have away games where you're going to be playing on dirt again. And it's a little bit of a management process to adjust them to turf, but also not get them too adjusted to turf.
Yeah, there is that mix there, but, you know, I think for most of these girls, this is the first time they've played on turf consistently. So it's more of getting them used to the turf than anything. And we didn't have a lot of practices for our very first game. So I think we had one, maybe two at the most.
Yeah.
So, it's been a process. We hit tons and tons of, ground balls and infield and outfield, because it's when that high fly ball comes down in front of the outfielder, we've had a couple that bounce, over our head, whatever. So that's an adjustment. But most of these girls have not played a lot of games on turf, so that was the biggest adjustment, just trying to get used to that.
So we ask the baseball guys about this every now and then, but that adjustment when you're playing on turf, and it's possibly one of those games where you're playing because you still can, even though it's rained a little bit, and you go for that steal a second, and you end up in the middle of the outfield on the slide. How has that adjustment been, as kind of how you can steal and how the turf changes what you can do grip-wise?
You've definitely got to slide earlier. Like, if you don't slide early enough, you'll slide right past the bag. I know a lot of people, they get hurt sliding into the bag because they slide too far and their ankle gets jammed up in the bag. So it's definitely a big adjustment, and you have to, take that in your mind whenever you're going to steal. But, yeah.
And then, Carly, what's the thing you are not going to miss about being on the road all the time and having to set up your own field and now that you have a home field, what is the thing you're not going to miss about home games that were not home games?
Definitely Coach Bean, he bought us the biggest softball bag ever possible. So I'm so glad we don't have to carry that around every single day. It's like 50 pounds. So
it's almost as big as you are.
You could fit us in there. You can fit one full person in there. Just
Coach, did you have an alternative plan here?
No ulterior motive here.
Okay. I would hate to think there was something going on where players were being zipped up in bat bags and carried around. Natalie, what about you? What's the thing about the not home games you're not going to miss now that you have a home field?
Probably setting up the nets. Whenever we're away, we always have to set up the nets, and it takes so much time to carry them off the bus, put them on the field, and get our swings in. But now that we have our own cage, we can do that super easy without having to mess with all the extra stuff. So I really like that we have our own cage.
Coach, you probably got a lot of things on your list, but for those folks, there's a lot of people we can thank for the new field. But there were some folks that had to kind of help you out until that field was ready. I'm going to assume Parks and Rec played a role. And is there some folks that need some love for helping you all have some home dates of some sort?
Yes, Parks and Rec, Chris Clark was super amazing. He worked with us. He never – I can't remember one time that we were turned away or couldn't practice or couldn't play a game, and they made it work for us. So Parks and Rec, especially Chris, because he's the one I talk to all the time, super amazing. There's lots of other things that happen behind the scenes, at school with, when we're on a football field occasionally, so we had to work that out with other teams and stuff. But, that Parks and Rec was definitely the big one.
So, and what is your favorite part about this ballpark now that you have it? Besides the fact that just you have it, what are you finding you really like about it?
Well, like I said, it's so nice to be able to walk in, and I can get there and get everything set up lots of times before the girls ever get there. And, we love the turf, but it truly is, I guess, because we haven't really had that home field for, 2 years of just having a home. There's a lot of great things about it. I love the field, love the green wall out there, and not having a fence that's, 300 feet away, it's 200 feet away. There's lots of things about the field we love, but it truly is. Having that batting cage right there makes a huge difference for us. And it's the locker room right there. It's just everything right there, and that's what's so great about it.
I made the observation kind of early on when we were looking at this, but there's still some construction going on because there's still fields that are to be finished, and they'll be finished later this summer.
Right.
The high school fields are done, but the other fields for the park are still being worked on. And I'm sure that causes some problems for you all as far as parking until those are cleared up. But when that's done, by the end of the summer, going into next school year, I was like, there is no reason that Eagleton should not be hosting district and region tournaments next year because you all will have turf fields where it won't matter if it rains, and you'll have multiple fields where you could play multiple games at the same time. You guys should, no doubt, hands down, be the host site and favorite host site for any district or region you're in.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about that multiple times at the admin at the school and Coach West, our AD. And I've talked to Coach Hart, baseball coach. He does the Cure for Cancer, the Play for the Cure tournament.
Yeah. There's
all kinds of options that we can do here. And district and region tournament, top of the list. But there are so many other options we can go to now to host some games there that's going to benefit us playing-wise and hopefully, financially down the road too. It's exciting to look at where we'll be next year as far as our district goes. We have a legit shot to be hosting next year for sure.
Well, I'm bringing back a little bit to the season with the time we got left, but I was looking at the schedule and I made the observation during scoreboard that removing Alcoa, it looks like the only people who've been able to get a win off of you have been the bigger schools, have been the 4A schools, the 3A schools. Against 1A and 2A, you all are pretty solid. How is it? You've got about 8 days left in the regular season. What is this? What do you all have to do this week to be ready for district tournament the week after?
Well, and I did this on purpose. I made this schedule much tougher than I did last year on purpose. And yes, it's a lot of 4A schools, 3A schools, and it's tough. And defensively is the place that we have to, if we can shore that up in a couple of areas, because our lineup has changed so much this year because of injuries. We have 2 starters that are no longer playing right now, and it's really changed our lineup a lot. And so we talk defensively, we're hitting the ball pretty well right now overall. It's defensively. That's if we can play solid defense, we can beat anybody we play.
So, I'm just looking in the standings and I'm seeing that there is a path to the postseason that gets around the nemesis in the district.
Yeah.
That can carry you just as far as they go, just going a different direction with it. Do you plan for that route, or do you plan to play heads up when you run into them?
Well, we talk about, look, there's no secret. Everything goes through Alcoa in this district right now. Everybody knows that. So we talk about it from the very beginning. I don't try to hide it from them. This is what we have to accomplish right here if we want to be here. And we absolutely can make it to region again. And there's no reason why we can't make it to region final this year, facing Alcoa again. But then you get to move on. And from there, who knows what happens. That's definitely a path that coaches have definitely looked at it. We've mentioned to them, like, look, this is where we could possibly be. We've not talked about as far as how we get there, but, they know. They know who we're playing and who, to get there.
And am I correct that Alcoa's wrapped up the number 1 seed? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you all are the number 2. Is that?
Yes.
So does Alcoa automatically host the district tournament? And
that's what. Yeah, we in preseason meeting. That's what we discussed, and that's what we all agreed upon. Whoever's number 1 will host.
Okay, so theoretically, if the long-range weather forecast were to say it's going to pour for a couple days, it wouldn't be that difficult to shift the games a couple miles over to the turf field so you could get them in.
That has been discussed as well.
Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah. So that's last year we had to go to Gatlinburg-Pittman when that happened. So this year, number 2 seed right across town right here. Yeah, that's I think that will sure happen.
I know I sound like a cheerleader for this field, but it's just such a beautiful facility. Even though it's still being built, just when you drive by it, it just looks like a first-rate facility.
Yes, it is, and it pops from the road. I mean, and I've had several comments. People driving by, man, that field looks awesome out there. It looks great, and especially under the lights. Under the lights, it looks awesome.
Yeah, I've seen some of the drone images. I want to see the drone images when the whole facility is complete and there's not construction off to the right-hand side. And, it just looks like it's going to be good. Last one for the seniors. I'm going to put it out there for you. How far do you have to go to be happy for this season? How far does Eagleton softball have to go for the seniors to be happy?
I'm already real happy. I mean, we got the field that we were promised, and I'm here with my friends and, you know, great coaches. I just really hope that we can make it to region, you know, region finals. I mean,
That's what you call living in the moment, right
there. It is.
Yeah.
That
I
is.
like that. I like that.
Yeah, I'm very happy as well. Last year I wasn't able to play because I was out on injury all season. So the fact that God blessed me another year and the opportunity to play, I'm head over heels right now. But as long as we play together, we all give our all. I mean, what more can we ask for?
Coach, good point. I've got one more to kind of wrap up with you. Always with softball, there is that conflict that can arise. Are we past the prom conflict and the graduation conflicts that can arise?
The prom is out of the way. Graduation is not. We will see. I hope that maybe that could be a conflict because it means we're still playing. But hopefully it'll work out okay. But yes, that is a possibility.
I threw that out there just because we saw it last year at a couple schools where it was, well, you can either play in the region championship game or you can walk at graduation because there was a conflict set up.
Yeah, I think it happened to Alcoa last year, as a matter of fact. So yeah, it's something that I've looked at. I don't know if they have or not, but I have looked at the dates and everything, and so I hope it's something that possibly happens. We have to work through.
All right. Well, we'll hope that's a conflict that arises. Coach, we appreciate you coming in. It's great to finally have you come in, visit, and seniors. We'll hope you play as long as you can this year. And if you're still playing the last week of May, we'll be happy to have you come back in for our last show because that will mean you're playing for the state title. So
We love that.
we always say you can win your way back on here as long as you bring your trophy with you.
Sure will. Yeah.
But, again, thanks for coming in, and we wish you all the best of luck. Mike, let's go ahead and turn the page.
Thanks, Marcus. Time for a break. When we return, it's the Boyd Sports Spotlight. You're listening to the Goteez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sport.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Boyd Sports Spotlight segment. And Donnie Moore, I know you're a little bit laid up, but we'll get you a little bit involved here.
Well, I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a few headlines. I'll do my best to fill in for you, and we'll proceed with it and maybe have a little bit of discussion here.
Good deal.
Bring in some of the other guys here, but I am here with Donnie Moore and longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons and Tennessee basketball great Tony White and former Alcoa basketball player Dwayne Easter and my brother John from Indiana. And we're going to get to him here in a few minutes and talk some Indy 500. But let's go with the sports headlines. Rory McIlroy wins the Masters golf tournament. He beat England's Justin Rose in a playoff. McIlroy became the first European man to complete a career Grand Slam with the win. Great win for him.
He's playing great golf right now.
Yeah, and I always do this, Donnie. I forgot this segment sponsored, and I'll go ahead and let you finish that off because you do a good job. Go ahead.
This segment is sponsored by our friends and our boss's friends at Fast Signs.
There you go. There you go. You're going to have to hit me on the head while I'm filling in. I always forget that. You got to hit me on the head, man.
How do you forget that one?
Yeah.
Well, we could have done it at the end.
Hey, last week was Jackie Robinson Day around the major leagues. It's been 78 years since Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, and all the players in the majors wore number 42 in his honor. And Robinson's 102-year-old widow marked the anniversary at the Jackie Robinson Museum in Brooklyn with baseball commissioner Rob Manfred, right?
Rob Manfred.
Yeah, so she wasn't at the ballparks this year, but she has been at the ballpark in other years, but she was at the museum this year. Kyle Larson won at Bristol. He led 411 of the 500 laps. Donnie, it was Larson's second Cup win of the season, 31st Cup victory in his career, and third win in a row, and he's warming up, buddy. He's going to Indianapolis to try to do the double again this year.
You know, it didn't look to me like there was a great crowd up there.
Yeah,
it looked like it was kind of sparsely attended.
Yeah, no rain.
No rain, no, and absolutely.
Well, that's
and
the thing, though.
They've not had any racing up
you
there.
You said that in the way that tells you why there was not. Everybody was expecting to get a cheap ticket the next day because they were expecting it to rain.
Yeah, well.
And there hadn't been any racing at Bristol for what? 2 years, 4 years?
Yeah,
something like that. It's been a while. And you know, I can't believe the fans didn't turn out any better than they did for that, because you know that's Bristol, baby.
Well, he's going to see some fans in about 5 weeks. There's going to be 400,000 of them, and he's going to be in Indianapolis, and he's got a good ride. He's going to be with the Aero team, John.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
McLaren Aero team,
yeah. He's going to be with a good team. Tony White's going to do 500 miles in Indianapolis. If he can hold it all together, he's going to get on a jet plane and go to Charlotte and go another 600 miles in a stock car. I'm not up to that. I don't know. Maybe you could do it, but I couldn't do that.
Driving 1,100 miles?
Ironman.
John, there's only been a couple of guys been able to do that, and I think
Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch.
Yeah.
Did Kurt Busch do the double?
Yeah.
But you've got to count on good weather at your first race so that it starts on time. You've got to count on good weather to get on your plane and get to the other track.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if there's good weather on the other end, because that delay doesn't hurt you.
Or you got to make a decision. If you're leading the Indy 500, do you pull in there, take the relief, or go to the Charlotte 600, or what do you do? If it's me, I'm staying out there on that track.
You want to see that checkered flag.
Yes, sir.
You win that race, you're immortal because you get your likeness engraved on the Borg Warner Trophy, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah. If there's a conflict, let's say we have a rain delay at Indianapolis, and it goes sort of like it did last year, and it gets into the 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then they got to make a decision.
They do.
And if that decision's made, Tony Kanaan is going to get in that car.
Wow.
He's going
to be the sub.
He's going to be the sub. He's going to get in Kyle Larson's, and what a fan favorite, Tony Kanaan.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win deal with Kyle Larson, one of your outstanding drivers, and if he can't go, there's not many guys more popular than Tony Kanaan at Indianapolis. So, it's a win-win deal right there. Last week, Vice President J.D. Vance ended the Ohio State team's visit to the White House this past Monday by fumbling the team's national championship trophy. Oh, my. I was just thinking, boy, I'm glad that wasn't that old crystal ball. Remember the old crystal ball they used to have?
Yeah.
That deal would have been in a few glass pieces,
Hey, if that wasn't symbolic.
If
that wasn't symbolic.
Yeah.
Why do they make them things in 2 pieces now anyway?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he knew. Do you?
They don't make things like they used to.
Yeah. Donnie, the Knoxville Smokies are breaking in a new stadium over there.
Yes, they are. Covenant Health Park is up and running, and the Smokies are not winning a lot of games at
They won the opener.
But they did win the opener.
They won the opener, and Boyd Sports looked good.
Hit
Smokies
the first home
good.
run, scored the first run ever in the park. Oh, it's a beautiful park.
I mean, it is, and you know there were a couple snags, and you expect a couple snags going around. I mean, there were some parking areas that weren't open yet, and there were some street parking that was closed, and some directions and stuff that people will have to figure out, and they'll figure that out as they go along through the season because, I mean, these long Southern League series last 5 and 6 nights, so you'll have a week on to get used to it. They'll have a week to fix it, and then you come back, and that next week is, you know, things are running smoother.
Yeah. So do they have enough parking for everybody, or do you have to shuttle? Is our shuttles?
I think at capacity they say there is enough parking, but as a reserve, you can go park over at the Coliseum and take the shuttle over.
Oh, okay.
What a beautiful facility.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
I'm not
really
going to
is.
have time this time to go see it, but that's going to be on the list for sure when I get back here next time.
And in Indianapolis, you've got the Indianapolis Indians, and they play downtown in a nice facility.
Oh, it's nice, and they always have the lights on, so it's it's a beautiful facility too.
Yeah, Tony, you were up there in Indianapolis, and you saw how it was all set up down there. You know, they got the baseball fields down there, the basketball arena, and the state high school basketball tournament was going on in Conseco, where the Pacers play, and you were over where the Colts play. But then the Colts arena's right there. Everything's just right there in that one area where all the motels and everything. It's a good setup, isn't it?
Yeah, great setup.
It is.
Everything is centrally located.
Yeah.
And the one thing about this stadium I think most people realize that makes it really, really unique is because they're sharing it with the soccer team. It is one of 3 retractable pitcher's mounds in use in professional baseball, where they can pull that mound and have it set for soccer without having to go out there with shovels.
Oh, no kidding. That's cool.
Yeah. Lee Corso was retiring from college game day, and what an impact he has had on college football for decades. I think 4 of them, to be exact.
I think you're right,
Donnie. And he was the former head coach at Indiana. I remember those days. John probably remembers them, but I remember him. On one, he had a tough game against Michigan one time. And I think it was 42-0 at the half. And the guy on Sunday on the television program said, Coach Corso, I ended up getting beat 60-some to nothing. And the guy goes, Coach, what was the turning point in the game? And I'll never forget what he said. He said, them 35 points in the first quarter just killed us. But, John, he was always coming up with good quotes. He was as colorful as a coach as he was as a commentator.
He was, and he's going to be sorely missed on Saturdays on game day. He was a character, and he knew the sport. And
the people up there loved him, didn't they?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's gonna be missed. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
not so fast.
Yeah, not so fast.
Not so fast.
Yeah, not so fast, my friend.
My friend.
Yeah. And he'd put the mascot.
He'd put that head on, you know.
Yeah, he'd start waving. Yeah.
Well, I think he's going to be on the first game day, you know, where they can announce the.
Is he going to be?
I think he is going to be on the first game.
They're going to send him off. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So. Hey, I got a rule change in college football, you know, on the faking the injury type deal that came out. That's slowing down the up-tempo teams. Teams will now be charged a timeout if the injury is after the ball is spotted. After the ball is spotted. So I'm saying, what if the guy goes down before the ball's spotted? What are these officials going to do, run over there and spot the ball real quick? So they can't do this. They're saying after the ball is spotted. So if you go down before the ball is spotted, is how they going to handle that?
They're saying if you're actually hurt, chances are it happened during the play, and you're not standing up.
And then
it's to stop the plays like we saw with Alabama, where the guy walked to the sideline and then collapsed to prevent the ball from being snapped.
Yeah.
What they'll have to do is to hire another official. That'll be his sole responsibility is watching the spot and the injuries
to make sure everything's right. And you don't want to be a charged timeout, so what do? Just drag the guy off of the field, drag him, and hey, 3 or 4 linemen. Your job, if you're in the game, if somebody at the back gets hurt, just drag him off the field.
Yeah.
Well,
he'll be all right.
They're going to tell guys not to get up until they're sure.
Okay.
Right.
All right. I've got some things that happened in sports in this day in history. Philadelphia Phillies infielder Emmett Mueller and Brooklyn Dodger outfielder Ernie Coy both homered in their first major league at-bats on this day.
Wow.
That's pretty. That's pretty
Impressive.
First that bat, man.
Yeah,
was
that
ballpark.
doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
The long ball.
1944, Angelo Bertelli from the University of Notre Dame was the first pick by the Boston Yanks. You remember?
Wow.
I remember the Boston Patriots.
Yeah.
But I don't know the Boston Yanks.
That's a new one on me too.
Yeah, that's going back.
That team.
That's way for my time.
Yeah. 1946, the Yankees switched from third base to first base dugout in Yankee Stadium, and I think they're in the first base. Are they in the first base side now? I think they are, aren't they?
I believe they are.
I don't think they've ever changed back. 1946, they were in the third base side there, and they changed, and I think they've been in first base ever since. 1949, the Yankees dedicated a plaque for Babe Ruth. Now, this is a period after he had played. You know, he was done in the 30s, you see. So now it's 1949, and they're putting the monument, out there, and, they had them in Yankee Stadium for years, and I'm sure they're in the new ballpark, somewhere out there in the center field area.
I'm sure you're right.
Yeah. 1974, Oriole Al Bunbury hits an inside-the-park home run against the New York Yankees.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Not heard that name in a while.
No.
I mean, that's embarrassing.
No. But I kind of miss those inside-the-park home runs. When you had the Polo Grounds and Yankee Stadium where you couldn't hit the ball out. Remember? And you hit it out there in center field over the guy's head.
And just get lost out there.
Yeah. You always wonder, well, why don't you build a ballpark where you can still do that? Victory Field in Indianapolis, the old Victory Field, you couldn't hit it out of center field. You had to hit it out of the right field or left field. So I think that kind of adds to the game, an inside-the-park home run. It's kind of exciting. 1986, Michael Spinks beats Larry Holmes in 15 rounds for heavyweight boxing title. 1987, the L.A. Clippers end the season with a terrible 12-70 record.
Jeez.
Tony, did you play on that Clippers?
Oh, dude. Oh,
that was after your time. Well, not really.
No.
87.
87.
Yeah.
No.
They didn't draft you, did they?
No.
Yeah.
No.
They were giving away $50 bills to the first draft choice. Back in that time, 12-70.
Well, that was rough there.
1991, Evander Holyfield beats George Foreman in 12 for the heavyweight boxing title. And in 1996, the Rangers score 16 runs in the 8th inning to beat the Orioles.
Good grief,
16 runs.
Wow.
16 inning.
George, he just passed away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Not too long ago.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, he was one of the great ones.
Yeah. How many of you got that? The deal that makes
sandwich thing. The
George Foreman
grill.
The grill.
Oh, yeah.
We got
everybody.
Yeah.
We've all got them.
Pork chops, hamburgers.
Yeah.
Grilled cheese sandwiches.
Hey, tasted good.
Birthdays. Al Unser, born in 1962. Al Unser Jr.
Al Unser Jr.
Al Unser Jr.
Two-time Indy 500 winner.
Yeah, two-timer, and he was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's the son of Al Unser Sr.
Four-time winner.
Elite group. And Uncle Bobby won 3 times.
3 times.
So you're looking at 7, 8, 9.
Good grief.
3 for Bobby, 4 for Al, and 2 for Al Jr. That's 9.
That's 9 victories.
That's what you call keeping it in the family.
Keep it in the family.
9 500, and of course Jerry.
A
They had
good
another
family,
brother,
too.
Jerry, that competed in the Indy 500, and he lost his life there in 1959.
Yeah.
I believe in practice. Went over the wall in 58 during the race on the first lap accident.
And survived that accident.
Survived that
to come
one.
back and run another day.
Yeah, with no row bars. In 58, they had no row bars in 58, and he went over the wall end over end and landed upright.
Right.
And landed upright in his car, saved his life, and then the next year he was killed.
Came down the straightaway and spun.
Yeah.
Flipped.
Yeah. Other birthdays, Candace Parker. Candace Parker over here at UT, played for Pathead Summit.
Happy birthday.
Los Angeles Sparks, born in St. Louis, Missouri. You know Candace? Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She was on. Wasn't she a commentator on the tournament?
She was.
Men's tournament.
Yeah.
This year did a good job.
She was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She did a great job.
Yeah.
TNT and she did the NBA too as well.
1987, Maria Sharapova.
Sharapova.
Sharapova, the tennis player, 5 Grand Slam single titles was born. On this day, 1971, Russ Hodges, American sportscaster for the Mets and the Giants, died at 60. He died at 60 years old.
Way too young.
man.
Did he call that shot around the world? You know, where the Dodgers and the Giants. Is that Russ Hodges?
I was trying to think. I'm not sure whether he did.
We'll have to fact find that deal.
Yeah.
But he was a longtime sportscaster. In 2009, Doc Blanchard. Doc Blanchard, the College Football Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner in 1945, played on the national championship Army teams of 1945, 45, and 46. Doc Blanchard, and who was that other back they had that was really good? I'll think of him. I don't know.
Red Orange.
They were a powerhouse, and then in 2016, yeah, they were. The Army was a powerhouse.
I'm not saying that. It's okay, Mike. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're agreeing with you.
Yeah. All right, 2016, Milt Pappas, Major League pitcher, three-time All-Star.
Milt Pappas.
Yeah,
I heard
played
that
with
name a lot.
the
They
Orioles.
ran the wishbone, didn't they? You know me? Running wishbone back then?
Yeah, at the Army.
I think they did.
Yeah.
They didn't pass.
Yeah.
They didn't pass.
Did
very
they do
much.
that hut?
I know the other back, Davis, Blanchard and Davis.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, now when they say hut, did they move to different
I
spots?
think so. I think they didn't pass a lot.
Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah, it was mostly 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
That's all.
There you go.
And no commercials. Those games were over in 20 minutes. First half and second half, and they were done. They were out of there.
Okay.
Hey, let's talk, John. Got my brother John here, and let's talk a little bit about the Indianapolis 500. We're about a little over a month away. 400,000 people are going to be gathered there for the greatest spectator sport in all of the world. It's going to be broadcast on TV and on radio all around the world, and it's a
spectacle.
for us people. Yeah,
400,000 people in one place at one time.
Yeah,
I mean, can you imagine that? That's unreal.
Wow.
That's unreal.
That's
a lot.
Neyland
That's a lot of
Stadium 4 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
4 times around right there, and
I don't remember all the different coliseums and different things that they could get inside the Indianapolis 5. It's like the Rome Coliseum in Rome, Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
There's about 8 or 9 stadiums that would fit inside the Speedway.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge.
It's that big.
Before we get a little bit on this year's race, tell it. You grew up there, and I grew up there, and you got around it, you got interested in it, but you do some things there. You got a real helmet here, but you restore helmets and die cast
you
and so
needed
forth for
something,
people, and tell our listeners a little bit
something
about
to do. You got to have a hobby, and I'd always collected. Partner in a men's clothing business for years, and when I got out of that, I took a hobby and kind of turned it into something to do to make a little bit of money on the side. So I restore old helmets, got a pretty good following. I don't do as much with our website that I do. My son's he's redoing it, and he's going to take over. So he has a pretty stressful job. He travels, and he needs something to enjoy on his time away from work. So it's fun, and I love it. You have a passion for a sport. We've always played basketball and football. You're growing up, but racing you can continue to enjoy and have fun and watching it, be a part of it. And Indianapolis, a couple things about Indiana basketball and the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Yeah.
There you go.
So big time coming up in May for all of us.
And we've been fortunate to take part in both.
Yeah, it's a family thing. My dad took us out there, and it's just carried on through to my kids.
Yeah.
So fun times.
And you also tell our listeners about this. You also restored a complete race car. from
Yeah.
scratch. The 95 Jock Villeneuve car.
I drug home a tub had been crashed, and I've got a picture of my son sitting in this crashed race car. And my wife came home from work, and she got out of the car. And she looked at that, and she looked at me, and that she got the face that wives get when you should do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not a ask permission guy. I'm a do it and then ask for
forgiveness.
Forgiveness, after that. Because you never can do it. But anyhow, I took an Indy car and I restored it. And,
Wow.
it was fun. It was the journey, not the destination. It was putting it together, finding the parts, getting to know a lot of people, and that was a lot of fun. So, just part of it's the bucket list.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to build an Indy car. But I went in the house, and my son was out there with me, and he was all excited. Yeah, we're going to build an Indy car, and I went in. My wife was changing clothes, and she looked at me and said, you can't build an Indy car. Why are you telling Nick that you could do that? No. So it just fueled, and we eventually did it, man.
Yeah.
And she let me. You got how many wives allow you to build an Indy car in your garage?
It took him about 15 years, but he got her done.
So
no car in the garage
not
for 15
quite that
years.
long, but
So
it
you
took
still,
about.
you still got it? Or?
No, I sold it and helped pay for one semester of my oldest son's college.
Okay.
But they came and picked it up. The guy that bought it came and picked it up on an open trailer, and I about cried. It was a labor of love, and
and tell them what's going on with that car now.
Yeah, somebody bought it. A friend of mine took it and completely restored it to race. It's race ready. And somebody's out there, it's got more money than sense, and they're racing it in these vintage.
Got an engine in it.
Yeah, I showed him a picture of it after they restored it.
Wow.
But, fun time, and I met a lot of neat people on the journey. That was what was cool.
Let's go with some firecracker fast stuff here. First Indy 500.
1968. Bobby Unser won his first.
Favorite 500?
I'd have to say 2001 because both of my boys were there with me to watch it. So Nick, my youngest son, got to see his first race, and my oldest son got, he was there. It was a family thing, and that was real important.
Greatest driver?
I'm going to say Rick Mears at Indy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Favorite pre-race tradition?
Back home again in Indiana.
Yeah.
You know the words, and the entire 400,000 people are singing it, and it is just it's electrifying. They used to let balloons go, and that was a real thing. But now, just because of the environment,
so you still like it without, even though they don't have the balloons.
It took a little bit away from it, but you just get used to it. Like everything, life is all about change, and you got to adapt to it. If you don't, you'll be mad.
Favorite story, not one of those balloons, but my dad always said, I would love to have one of those inflated blimps.
Right,
big inflatable blimps. And you saw them up there at Indianapolis, the service stations and so forth have them. He walks out one afternoon, and one of them got loose, and they were in his backyard. He says, I finally got my blimp.
Right.
You remember that? Yeah. It took several years, but it just came right to my house, and here it is in my backyard.
Right. If you dream hard enough, you get what you want.
There you go.
Yeah. How about telling a little bit about the morning of the race, what takes place?
Yeah,
for most families that are going out there.
Families
the track's in an older section of Indianapolis.
Yeah, most people go. We've got a group that goes, and we park at the same place every year. We get together, and it's just fun. Pre-race stuff. We're cooking food, and we're eating. We're having fun playing toss the beanbag toss or whatever you call it. But it's just a time where all of us can get together and camaraderie and enjoy something we all love.
And how early do you have to get up?
About 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
5:30, 6 o'clock.
And you got to walk a ways.
Yeah, we're about a mile away. Where we park is about a mile away from the track, and so it's not too bad. But there were times
it's at least a mile walk for most people.
Yeah,
at least a mile.
At least a mile.
At least
walk.
a mile.
So
there.
what time is the race?
11:30.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So by the time you get there, you got 3 hours to have fun and act goofy and prepare. Get excited. We have pools. You pick a driver and whoever wins the pool, whoever wins the race. So,
most unique piece of memorabilia
that I had, or that I've seen?
You've come across, or you've been in contact with. You've done.
Man, I've had so many different ones. Uniforms from race winners from the day of the race. I'd have to say I had at one time Gordon John Cox uniform from 1980. What year was that? He won his second one.
Won in 82.
1982. I had his uniform, and it ended up going to he had a crew chief named Sonny Meyer that was on his team, and a friend of mine got the uniform from me, and that was pretty important that it ended up in the hands of somebody that really appreciated it.
Yeah.
So
we got to go to break, but before we go to break, I got one more thing I want him to say, and we'll just have a short time coming back. I want you to tell the listeners out there your trip around the track in my dad's car.
Oh, my God. And this would never happen again. The clothing store, I had Tony George, who owned the Speedway, and I did clothes for him for quite some time, and he couldn't quite believe the story either when I told you, but I had a couple of buddies. We all went out to the track one afternoon. This was when I was probably a senior in high school, and we're in the gift shop looking, and all of a sudden we look out there. One of my buddies says, they're letting cars out on the track. And it wasn't like a Corvette club, and I don't even know what it was, but he goes, hey, we're getting out there. And I'm like, no, we're going to get in trouble. And, let's not do it. He goes, no, man, it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. So he talked me into it. There were three of us, my friend Scott, my friend Brian, and myself. And I just blended in with everybody else. And my dad had just bought a brand new car, Cutlass.
You just merged.
Just merged in with everybody else. And so we got out on the track, and I'm like, losing it. This is a dream of a lifetime. Well, we're in between turns 1 and 2, and by the time we get to 2, my buddy Scott goes, pass him. Everybody was in single file, just going. He goes, pass him, go, just go. I hit the accelerator. By the time I got to the third turn, and I don't know how fast I was going because those speedometers only went up to 120. I took a full lap, came back around. I'm passing cars, and it's just I pull into the pits, and at that time, my favorite driver was a fella named Danny Ungaius. And they used to leave the names painted on the wall, so that when they gave people tours and stuff, you could see the names. I pulled into Danny Ungaius' pit. And so my buddy Scott says, well, let me drive. And so reluctantly, I got out of the car and let him get in the driver's seat, and he peels out, and he's leaving the pits. And about that time, they're doing this and telling everybody to get off the track, so they're filing off. And I feel lucky that he didn't take any laps because he probably would have crashed the car. And that would have been a little difficult to explain to my dad.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? Well, lost it up in turn 3. And,
yeah. And whether the insurance would cover it would be
but that was it will never happen again. That was really exciting, fun, and stuff you do when you're 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
So fearless.
Yeah. We'll go to break. Time for a break. When we return, we'll be back to close out today's show. You're listening to the Goteez Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net.
We're back on the Goteez Sports Page, and I'm talking to I'm Mike Edwards, and I'm talking to my brother John, and about the Indy 500, and got some storylines going on this year, John. Joseph Newgarden, he's going for 3 in a row.
Yeah.
No one has ever done that before.
He could be the first one to do it, good. So that's exciting, kind of something to look forward to, to witness something that's never taken place before.
And then we've already mentioned Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson.
Yeah, it's nice to see a driver that goes from one form of a racing series to another. Kind of an unusual thing this day and age. Back in the day, those drivers back in the Floyd Andretti, they ran everything: stock cars, sprint cars, Indy cars, and it's kind of rare that they do that now. So, because of contracts and engine, this sort of thing. So,
what sets the Indy 500 off, I think, from a lot of other races is the fact that they start 3 abreast. Most races are started 2 abreast. In Indianapolis, there's 3 cars on, and not a whole lot of track there to start that race.
Right.
And So that's always an exciting.
It's just a spectacle.
Yeah. You went to the. How many races have you been to? I forgot to ask that question.
I don't know because I missed a couple because of college. I missed, but my first race was '68. So I've had at least that many, but I did miss a couple due to being at school and that sort of thing. So my record was broken, I guess. And So, but I've been going ever since I was a little guy.
I'll tell this story. We were getting autographs one year, and John, he had pretty long hair.
Yeah, I got to get a haircut.
Bobby Unser, three-time winner Bobby Unser, was signing autographs, and I went up to him and asked him to sign some things that I had, and it was my pit pass. Had it around my neck, and he signed the pit pass and smiling and everything. And John, with his long hair, was standing there like this with his pit pass, and Bobby just took one look at him and goes, "I gotta go, boys. I gotta go."
Yeah. I never got over it.
Yeah.
I never got over it.
Yeah.
And Bobby never apologized to me.
John?
I had long hair. My wife made me get my hair cut. It was down to my shoulders, but I had to be presentable today at the show. so anyhow, we had a lot of fun out there at the track over the years, man. I got to know a lot of neat people, and I was able to do a lot of neat things because of that. And then my family, they got to enjoy it too, and it was just a fun time.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to it.
Yeah. John, thanks for coming and
You're
visiting
welcome.
with
Thanks
us about
for
the
having
race.
me.
Always great. And Tony, great to see you again. Come
Yeah.
back. We
Fun.
enjoy having you here, and Dwayne and these two guys, Marcus and Donnie, will be back here. We'll all be back here. Yeah. You ready? Yeah, I'm ready to blow the whistle. For you, Art. It's been a good day. Yeah. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goteez Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of the Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Tony White, Dwayne Easter, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and John Edwards, until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the Goteez Sports Page. The best in local sports since 1978.